Aloha, pastors. I wonder if you could just give me just a few minutes. There's a couple of things I want to share with you. And first of all, it's just from my humble heart to yours is just an expression of mahalo for all that you've been doing. Look, I realize 2021 is going to go down as one of the most unusual years of all time. But I think particularly for those of us that are in leadership, this is causes this has caused us to address issues that we have, and in such a way that we've never had to face before. So I know that it hasn't been easy for you. I know that it has been full of challenges. But you just need to know that I'm just immensely proud of you and grateful for you, and I pray for you, and I lift you up before God. And look, I think you know that we are here in the conference to provide whatever the support that we possibly can to just be of assistance to you and just some help and courage on this journey together. The other thing is I just want to share with you a little insight that I discovered in a study that I've been doing on the life of Elijah. It's a sequence of experiences that I never really put together before. And it just is another reminder to me of just how God chooses to provide for us, how God chooses to fulfill his promises for us. Look, you of all people, I don't need to remind you of the story of Elijah, so I'm really not. I'm just going to go specifically to these three little vignettes, these little three cameos from the life of Elijah, and then just pull them all together. So here's the very first one. As you know, and this is all in 1 Kings. As you know, he marches into the palace of the king, announces there's not going to be any rain. God immediately sends him specifically to the brook Cherith. Says, listen, you better go there, you're going to hide. I'll provide for you. And God does. So he's got water from the brook, and every single day, ravens bring morning and evening bread and meat. Drops it right into the lap of Elijah. So he's just there for like 2.5 years. That time goes by and God comes along and says, hey, listen, it's time for you to make a move here. I want you to go to Zarephath. I'll provide for you there in Zarephath. And so Elijah does. He trusts God. He puts his faith in God. He travels those probably about 100 miles, goes to Zarephath, and there's this widow of Zarephath. You remember the story. And there's enough flour and oil, literally every single day. She scrapes it from the barrels of those little glass, not probably glass, but clay pots or clay jars. There's flour, there's oil, and she makes these biscuits for them to eat every single day. More time goes by. And of course, now there's this experience, that explosive moment on top of Mount Carmel. The fire comes down, then the rain comes gushing. He runs in front of the chariot for Ahab, all the way down from Carmel to the palace. Jezebel hears what took place, and she is just furious. And she sends out this message to Elijah. Hey, listen, by the time, this time tomorrow, you're gone. You're history. It's over. Lights out. You're a dead man. And so Elijah runs for his life to the region of Beersheba, probably somewhere around 70 miles or so. And then it also says that he, not only does he go to Beersheba, then he even goes a day's journey into the wilderness. So maybe another 15, 20 miles. And there he is. He's tired. He's exhausted. He's discouraged. He falls asleep. The next thing he knows, there's a little tap on his shoulder, and he opens his eyes, and he's staring into the face of a celestial being. And that angel says, Elijah, you need to drink. You need to eat. And there's a cake. Bible specifically, there's a cake. Here's the point. We cannot limit God how he chooses to bless us. We cannot limit God as to how he chooses to provide for us. Whether it's us personally, whether it's for our ohana and our families, whether it's for the church that we're serving, we cannot limit God. Here's the thing about the story that I always miss. You see, God, if he chooses, can use nature. And so he has these ravens flying in and dropping the bread and the meat. And then after a period of time, God says, hey, well, listen, let's try people. So he sends Elijah to Zarephath, and there's this widow with the fresh baked biscuits every single day, morning and evening. So God uses nature, God uses people, and then when Elijah runs for his life into the wilderness of Beersheba, God sends a celestial being, an angel, and specifically says he had cake for him to eat. So I don't know, maybe this is the first reference to angel food cake in Scripture. I don't know. But you can't limit God. That's the point. If God can use nature, God can use people, God can use a heavenly being. But you can't limit God. And did you notice, here's the other thing about the story, that with each provision, it only gets better. So with the ravens, they're just dropping a chunk of bread into his lap. But when he goes to Zarephath, to the widow, she's baking these biscuits fresh every single day. And then when he runs into the wilderness of Bathsheba, an angel shows up with angel food cake. Chunk of bread, fresh biscuits, angel food cake. Listen, pastors, we can't limit God as to how he chooses to do it. We can't limit God as to what the blessing is going to be, what the provision is going to be. But I guess my point for your heart and mind today, from this little tiny story of far away and long ago of Elijah, is that, look, whatever you're facing in your life right now, God has provided for you already. And we can't limit God as to what's in his toolbox. He's got 1,000 ways providing for you that you haven't even thought of, or I haven't even thought of. So that's just my little message to you. First of all, just a heartfelt appreciation from your president for just your leadership, your pastoring, the way that you're reaching out and making a difference in people's lives, even in the midst of this COVID-19. And then also just another reminder from the story that God does provide, and that God is not limited as to how he chooses to provide for you and for me. So I just want to wish you a very special Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Look, we're going to continue to journey into 2021. We're going to do this together. I'm committed to I want to be of a support to you and to your family and to your Ohana, just the very best that I can, especially during these challenging times. So just know I love you, I'm proud of you, I'm grateful for you, and I want you to have the very best Christmas and New Year as we move forward together. Aloha.